Yeah, y'all already know what it is. One of the hottest podcasts out right now. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Ooh, we lunge up. You make Stevie wonder. If you got a problem, she'll do her best to solve them. Ooh, Lungy, like for the party. I gotta tune in. You know she do this.
Hey y'all, it's your girl One Lungy, and we're back again with another episode of the HMO podcast. Of course, I don't know what the title is until I finish recording, but I do know what I want to talk about. And before I get into it, I just want to say thank you everyone that has gave me their feedback, that has been looking forward every week to my podcast. It really means a lot. It's only the beginning. I have great things in store for the podcast. I just ask that those that have been rocking with me since the beginning just hold me down, and I got something for you guys. I just want to take that time to say thank you so much, because it really means a lot that you guys look forward and tell me what you guys want to talk about, because I just don't want to be on here babbling about stuff that I think that people want to hear. It's always good to know what people want to hear, so that way, because I'm doing the podcast for me and for you, so it also helps me when you guys give me your feedback. And I just want to throw that out there in the beginning, that I'm very thankful and grateful for my Instagram, Facebook, Twitter family that support me, and also tell other people about my podcast, maybe that's not following me, because I have gotten a lot of feedback from people that I didn't even know follow me, or they told me that someone else has referred them out to listen to the podcast. So again, thank you. And I wouldn't say I'm up under the weather. I think it's just my allergies. So I sound a little congested, but I'm not sick. So today we're going to talk about basically some things just to piggyback off last week's episode and also the weeks prior. Everything is kind of just tying in together. And I'm realizing that I've been open to having more associates in different cultures, that I'm realizing us as a Black community, our parents always drilled in our head what not to do, but they never really drilled in our head what we're supposed to do. And what I mean by that, I'm really talking about like, okay, sex before marriage is not a good thing, or you're not supposed to be out here doing this and doing that, or they told you, oh, don't be talking to these fast tail boys, or these girls gonna get you caught up. But they never told us as women how to be a wife. Like, they taught us the morals, like you're supposed to cook, you're supposed to clean, you're supposed to take care of the kids, but they never told you the things that you have to do besides that to keep a man. And then they tell you, okay, sex before marriage is bad. Yeah, it is. But you never told me that once I get married, how I supposed to please, you get what I'm saying? Please my husband, or please my wife. So they made it seem like sex is a bad thing. Sex is not a bad thing, because doing, like, on a more spiritual level, having sex is worship. Little do you know, because marriage, all of that is kingdom work. Like, you don't build a marriage for the world, you build a marriage for kingdom work, because you are supposed to be fruitful and create and do other things, but not going deep into that. But we were always told that it was just bad, but they never told us that once you get a husband, they just say, okay, you're supposed to wait till you get a husband to have sex. But you never told me that it's okay. You get what I'm saying? Like, they made it as a bad thing. So now when you get your husband, you're afraid to do certain things, because it has been drilled inside of your head, that sex is a bad thing. Are you scared to be like my grandmother, or I've talking to other older people, like things like when they were growing up and they had their husband never saw them naked. They never took a shower with their husband. Like they never did oral on their husband. They didn't know this stuff back then. Only thing they knew that they would just be from the waist down naked, but they never took off their clothing. You get what I'm saying? So it was a lot back then. It was a lot different versus now. So they can never tell me how to like sexually please a man, even though they can't tell you how to please your husband, because your husband is supposed to teach you how to please him on a sexual level. But what I'm saying is like there were certain things that are more Bronx open now that back then our grandparents and our grandparents' parents did not do this stuff. Like they just know that they just had to lay down, and you get what I'm saying? They know they just had to lay down and give it up to their husband, whether it was something that they wanted to do or that they didn't want to do. And I feel like on the movie, oh my God, I just really had a brain fart. The movie Color Purple, like that's literally how it was. And he wasn't raping her. She just sat there and took it whether she wanted to or not. Like it kind of wasn't pleasure to them. They did it as a need. You get what I'm saying? Like they're not into it. And I feel like that's like toxic in a way in a relationship, or as far as like with a husband, in a marriage. And I'm only saying this because this is what I think. I've never been married, so don't quote me on this. I don't argue with me. This is just my opinion. I feel like that's toxic, because if you just laying there, I feel like a man, if you just laying there just giving it up because that's what he wants, I feel like it's really not pleasing him, because you just sitting there looking like a bump, like a frog on a log, just sitting there looking stupid, like you're not into it. And then that deals, a lot of time that goes into like a manhood, like he feel like that he's not pleasing you, or he's not doing what he's supposed to do to sexually please you. And I feel like that's what leads to a lot of married men going to cheat, to find somebody that's into them, that like feeds their ego to make them seem like they're the man, or stuff like that. And then like I was saying, they didn't tell, like I said previously in one of my podcasts, that I can't take marriage advice from my parents, because my mom has been married and divorced. My grandmother has been married and divorced. Divorce, whatever, however you want to say it. So it's like, I feel like I want to learn what they did while they were married, or what they was doing back then when they were courting, so that way I don't make these same mistakes. I use it as a lesson tool to prepare me for when I get married. Like I feel like I don't want to get divorced, so I'm not gonna rush into something or do something. Or my grandmother says she only got married because she ended up getting pregnant. So how do I know that you got married because you wanted to, or did you just get married because back then he got you pregnant, so you had to get married? You get what I'm saying? So those are things that like play in my head that I take note of, to realize like, okay, just because something happened, I'm not gonna be like, okay, now we gotta get married. No, like that's just, like I said, for me, I don't really want any more kids. That's just my opinion, because I'm single right now. But if I get a husband, of course, I'm going to want to give my husband a child if he wants one. But I've set that standard for myself to put myself in situations where I know that I won't get pregnant before marriage. Because I've learned from my first child, like it's hard, no matter how much of a relationship that you and your baby father or your baby mother has, co-parenting is not easy, no matter what, because parents don't have the same rules and regulations. Like what I think is okay, her dad may not think it's okay. And then she goes over there on the weekends and she come home on Sunday, and it takes me almost 2 to 3 days to get her back into reality of what I go for versus what he goes for. And then when she feel like I'm being mean, now she wants to go to her daddy house. Or if she feel like her dad is being mean, now she wants to go home. And my child personally does not like discipline. Long as you let her do what she want to do, she's okay. But the minute you go to discipline, everybody is being mean. But that's just to say, I feel like no matter how much one accord you and the parent is, raising a child out of two households is very hard. It's very challenging, and you just got to stay prayed up because it's so hard. So I made that conscious decision to say that I would not have another child unless I am married. I want to be able to my child to experience a two-parent household, see her mom and her dad loving on each other, not seeing us bickering. Like, you may see some arguing, but to see a healthy relationship. And what I mean by, and I've learned this, when people say they want a healthy relationship, saying that you want a healthy relationship does not mean that it opts you out of having problems. A healthy relationship is basically saying we have problems, but we work through these problems. That is what builds a healthy relationship. Not just saying, oh, we don't have problems, we got a healthy relationship. No, because when you say that, you're lying. A healthy relationship is when you guys come through those bumps in the road. Like, y'all don't let it affect y'all. Y'all effectively work through these problems. That's what you consider healthy. And another thing that I feel like our parents, as a Black community, our parents didn't teach us how to keep our man, because we be watching these TV shows, but it be realistically like a white person will tell their daughter before they get married, no, work it out. You know what I'm saying? You got to fight through this. Black people, you got to say, mama, he cheated. Cheating is, I'm saying, not saying like you're supposed to automatically take them back. No, because there's no understanding when it comes to cheating. But as far as like, take that time off, work through it. Don't just give up so quick. Like, you got to know why or what possessed this person to cheat. And I think that was a bad example, because I don't think I would take somebody back after they're cheating. But I'm just saying, as like an example, like we as a Black community, we fight for the wrong thing. And I honestly feel like I'm not about to stay in something because of people always be like, oh, I'm staying for the kids. I am sorry. But if I'm in something that I am not happy, I'm going to remove myself from that situation. No matter, it may hurt the kids in the beginning, but I feel like you got to have that conversation with your kids, because when you realize we do so much for our kids, which we are supposed to do, but at the same time, when you look back, when your child get 18 and you look back that you've wasted all this time staying with their father or staying to deal with certain stuff because of the kids, and you look back, once these kids get 18, they're doing what they want to do, and you look back and realize like, dang, I just wasted 18 years of my life because I was afraid to let my kids know that their parents are not perfect. Come on. Like, I refuse to waste any time being in some situation that I don't want to be in and using the excuse, I'm staying for the kids. I am sorry. I love my child dearly, but I'm not going to put myself in a situation where I am unhappy wasting time trying to please a child and make my child seem like everything was perfect. Because when they get 18, they're going to realize, oh, me and your dad, we've been divorced, but we just stayed living together for the sake of you guys. Or, oh no, me and your dad had a whole nother family, but when I made sure that he came home at night so that way you could see him. That's just something that I'm not going to do. Like, we can co-parent, but that's just a situation that I'm not going to stay in. And a lot of times our parents or our older siblings have always used that as an excuse. Oh, I stayed because, y'all was young and y'all needed y'all. I am sorry. I'm not doing it. I cannot. And like I said, and like I always tell my grandmother, the morals are the same, like you're supposed to, You're supposed to respect yourself. You're supposed to, carry yourself with respect. You're supposed to not let anybody disrespect. Like, all of those things are the same, but the way that you have to show it is a whole different way, because things are so different now. Like, our kids have so much advantage of looking at stuff. Like, I cannot hide nothing. When I tell you I cannot hide nothing from my child sees almost everything in there. So I don't know if it's the milk that they drinking at school. I don't know if it's the food that they're feeding them. I don't know. I don't even know if it's the air that they're breathing, but they're so advanced. Like, my child knows, like, if she doesn't see somebody come around, or she don't see, oh, mommy, you don't talk to this person no more. Oh, mommy, whatever happened to this? Like, my child does not give me the opportunity to get over something, because she's just constantly on me. And maybe it's because she's around me 24/7 that I don't know, but they're so advanced. You don't even have to hide nothing from your kids no more. Like, of course, there's a level of respect that you have to have for your child. Like, I'm not going to let my child see me lay up with somebody that I'm not married to. I'm not going to see my child catch me having sex. Like, that's boundaries. You get what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to let her go through my phone and read my text message that me and somebody may be having. That's just a level of boundaries. But once my child get older, I'm going to be very open to my child, because I feel like I don't want her to grow up holding a grudge against me because I put on this facade that my life was just so perfect. You had the best life ever, and this is what happened, and I'm not going to do that. Like, when, like, my child is she became to a place where she wanted to know why me and her father is not together. He told his side of it, and then I told my side of it, but I told it to her more on her level, not just pointing the fingers as if he did all the wrong. Like, I let her know, like, sometimes people just grow apart, and once they grow apart, they start doing other things that make the other person mad, and it just was better for us to just let it go. Now, when she get older, like more mature, then we can have that conversation of what really happened. I feel like I don't want to take my child through my trauma. Like, I don't want my child to go through the trauma that I went through. So if I can prevent it, I'm going to prevent it. Like, I don't want to toxicate her mind to realize, oh, my dad did this or my mom did this, and then she grew up blaming me, like, well, you the reason why my daddy not here, or you the reason why my mom not here. I don't want that for her, and I don't want her to ever feel like she has to choose between me or her dad. No matter, like I always tell her, no matter what me and your dad may go through, that's still your dad. I would never take you away from him. I never want you to feel like you have to love me more than you love your dad. I would never put my child in, because me, honestly, I was put in no situation. When my mom was mad at my dad, my mom wanted me to turn against my dad. And she used to get mad, like, oh, well, you love your daddy more than you love me. No, I don't. I just know that that's my dad, and I love him, and you're my mom, and I love you. Why do I have to be put in a situation where I have to choose between my parents? I don't think that's fair on a child. So I make that conscious decision for me and my child, that I would not make her have to choose between her parents, or make her, or have to live through my trauma. That's why even now I'm dealing with a lot of things that I dealt with in my childhood that my parents don't even know about. And I think that's why I'm so overprotective over Maya. Like, I don't let her go. I don't let her go in and everywhere, because there's some things that eventually I may get to on a podcast. I may not, but there are some things that I dealt with that my parents didn't know. And I'm dealing with it because I don't want my child to be so, like I said, I don't want her to live through my trauma. Like, I don't want to be so on her that, because I think that that even though it could happen to her, but I don't want her to live in that fear of thinking that it may happen. You get what I'm saying? I don't know how to word it. I don't want her to live through my trauma expecting that it's going to happen to her because it happened through me. She has her own life that she has to live. I don't want her living through my childhood, if that makes sense. Like, and a lot of times we do that because, let's just say, my my mom feels like, oh, well, your daddy did this and that, and you should do this and you should do that. And I'm kind of like, well, she drills in my head, oh, you should make this or you should do that. Like, there's just some beliefs that I don't believe in, that I'm just never going to allow my child to go through. Like, my child will not live on welfare. Like, if I got to get up and work 2 jobs or whatever I have to do, I'm not going to do this, or I'm not going to I don't believe in child support. Like, a child didn't ask to come here. I shouldn't have to force a parent to take care of their child, because at the end of the day, she's my child. I'm going to take up the responsibility, whether her dad does for her or don't do for her. And I'm not saying it in the sense of, I just honestly don't believe in child support, especially if I'm getting up to go to work and I can provide for my child and I can still take care of my bills and do what I want to do. What do I need it for? Because at the end of the day, it will always hurt. I feel like people, like with the whole father thing, I feel like their conscience will eat them up a lot more. Because when you give into like you would never catch me out here being a bitter baby mom. Like, I don't have that kind of time to be doing all that. Like, I always look at, like, I'm never, and this is kind of like off topic, but while we're here, I'm never going to take my child away from her father because of something that he's done to me. Like, that's being selfish. Like, and then we grow up making these kids think that, oh, they're like, you have those parents that want to do for their kids, but no, the baby mama want to be childish and keep the child away from them, saying, oh, your daddy don't care about you. Like, no, stop toxicating these kids' mind. Like, let them get to the point where they're able to make their own decisions. Like, let them realize certain stuff for themselves. Stop it. I wish these baby mamas or whatever they want to call themselves would just stop doing it. And then sometimes they just put them on child support just to be evil. Like, do you know that you may be able to get something more out of these fathers that's willing to take care of their kids than you would if you put them on child support just trying to be nasty? Because technically, let me just put y'all on some game. On the legal side, technically, when you put a baby father on child support, he's entitled to file that child on their taxes. Remember that. He can take you to court and say that you're not letting him claim his child on the taxes. So that's just a little nugget for y'all. Like, I just don't have time to be wasting on that. But, and to close out on this podcast, because I really don't want to go into details about baby mama, baby daddy. I feel like having conversation with our parents or our grandparents, if your grandparent or your parents are still living, that we should always know like what they went through, so that way we don't kind of make those same mistakes and we break these generational curses. That we should always want to have those conversations to get to know certain things, because a lot of time our grandparents and our parents weren't as open-minded and had more resources to learn new things as if we are now. So I feel like we as parents should be open-minded about learning new things when it comes to parenting. Like, just learn new things, or also like have those conversations with older people to know, like, when they were growing up, when they were dating, when they became parents, stuff that they did or things they feel like they didn't want to do. Because it kind of, when you learn about your past, or when you learn about how your parents raised you or how you got conceived and stuff like that, I feel like it makes it a lot more easier to help you not make those mistakes. Now, I'm not saying like, oh, we turned out wrong, but certain things we need to change, like, and a lot of times these kids become in a generational curse because we as parents or young parents don't even be raising their own kids. They're allowing their grandmother or the grandmother to their grandma or their mom to raise them. And I'm the type, you're not gonna raise my child. even though it takes a village, but I feel like I want to instill how I want my child to grow up, not allowing you to make that decision for me, because there are some things that I don't agree with that you guys did while we were growing up. So I don't want you to instill it in my child head and you traumatize her. That's what we're not going to do. Like, we have to, and a lot of times these grandparents feel like, oh, well, you ain't raising your child right. Don't tell me how to raise my child. Like, you can give me some pointers, but when it comes to raising my child, don't ever question me on how I'm raising my child, because I feel like I'm doing a darn good job. My child is not going through the same thing that I went through. I've made these decisions to promise myself that my child won't go through what I went through as a child, or experience what I experienced, or grow up how I grew up. Like, you have to be able to teach them in this generation that we're in now, because things are not the same as if it was when my grandmother was growing up or when my mother was growing up. So that was just something that I felt like I should share with you guys. I was kind of rumbling everywhere, but you get the point. You can take some nuggets away from this. Again, like I said in the beginning of the podcast, thank you guys so much for supporting me and continue to rock with me. Be sure to follow us on all streams. We're on YouTube, SoundCloud, and Apple Podcasts. And we're also on Instagram. Be sure to follow us on Instagram. And I have a Facebook like page. And you can follow me on my personal Instagram, which is Longie, LON as in Nancy, GIE_. Be sure to follow me on my personal page and also on Facebook. My name is Elonja Brutton. Be sure to stay up to date, because when you guys subscribe and follow me, you guys get the notification when a new episode has been uploaded. But until next time, you guys mind your business, drink your water, get your waist snatched, because 2020 summer, things are going to get wild. But as I always say, until next time, goodbye.